Welcome to Anglo Nation South Asia. And welcome, Alyssa. So happy to have you. So glad when we have someone, I think everyone has this fangirl moment when you've been following someone and then you get to host them. It's such a great experience. And welcome everyone else who found the time during the day, evening, whatever it is for you to join us, to hang out with us, to learn with us, and to share this experience with us. Um, I will hand it over to Elisa. I feel like she doesn't need an introduction, but I will also let her introduce herself.
Hey, yeah, I am at Alyssa Nicoll on the Twitters. I don't know how to change my name tag. It just says you. So maybe, I don't know. Maybe you all see something different than you, but if not, we'll work on the
We
spelling
see
stuff.
Alyssa Nicoll, and it's
Awesome!
got two L's at the end.
Oh no, I don't know how to edit these things, Bonnie. It's way over my head. It's way over my head. Okay. So I'm a developer advocate for a component library called Kendo UI. So I usually dabble in what me and my friends like to call the front of the front end, UI, UX design, all of that fun stuff, along with like CSS. I also, as you probably know, love Angular. And so that is why today I was hoping to talk to you a little bit about something that's been coming up a lot for me lately, inclusive components, right? And bringing inclusivity into your CSS, and how do you do that, and what does that even mean? So I was reading the description, and I know we usually do like a 20-minute talk and then a 20-minute discussion, and I don't know what time this ends. Does it end at 8:40 my time then? Does it end on the 40 mark or on the hour mark? I was trying to like
It
math
ends
and
on
it's
the
not
hour
working.
mark, but we can end early if we are done talking, if you're
Yeah.
done discussing. I
Yeah,
mean,
no
that's a
worries.
typical
Yeah.
format, but yeah, you don't have to
Okay.
talk for 20 minutes if you don't want to. No pressure.
I
And you
was
can
thinking
talk for 5 minutes if you want to. Again, no
I was
pressure.
thinking we could make it very well, as interactive as possible. So like,
Hmm.
much interruptions, much questions, much back and forth.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
even if like, let's say I'm going over something that most of you already know, you could like just start thumbs downing me and we could skip to the next thing. I don't know how you all want to do it, but I definitely want to make it very interactive as much
Interactive.
as
We're
possible.
Yeah.
definitely not going to thumbs down you. I don't
I
see that
know. So
happening. I'm just saying.
what's like okay, maybe if nobody use thumbs up unless you want me to go to the next thing because you're like, I already got it, right? That's a positive way of pushing me forward. I just want you all to, yeah, there you see, Connie. I want you all to be able to say in some sort of way, go to the next part. Also, let's do, where is my,
We're
oh, I
very
have screen
cozy.
sharing.
Most of us already know
Entire
each other,
screen.
so people are not too shy.
Awesome. Great. That's what I want to hear. You should see entire screen. Hi, Tito. I saw you just join with your beautiful smile. Okay. Words and doing. I wanted to show you this real quick. I know it's kind of inclusive styles, but it's more just styling. So I had this bug yesterday with my app, and I was like trying so hard to like debug it. And I ended up going like deep in the hole of, oh, like you guys don't even want to know. This is what I was trying to do in order to fix it, where I was creating these variables that I would spread throughout the app, and I would update it with my query selectors. And I was like, what am I? And I might need to make this a little bit bigger. And this is just like my, random sporadic ADHD introduction to UI. But this line right here was the juicy bit where I was like, okay, my sidebar spacing is off for this one component. I was like, let's do the math. Let's bring in our margin, our padding, our border. We're going to multiply that sucker times 2. And that's the spacing that scales based on the query. And my husband comes over, and he's actually the one who got me into this. And he spends like 30 minutes, right, looking at my styles. And this was like spread throughout like 3 or 4 different style sheets, like sprinkling those variables and using them with query selectors. He takes that and he goes, I think because of how I was using Flexbox, he goes, I'm pretty sure if we give, because I've got an aside over here that creates this like sidebar element. He was like, I'm pretty sure if we give your sidebar element an actual width, because nothing had widths. I was telling this to be like a flex 3 and this to be a flex 1. So essentially this main content with the ponies would always be like three times the page as this would only be one page. It's like a 3-to-1 ratio, right? It was never actually giving widths. And he was like, I think that's your downfall. He was like, I think if you give this 30 view width, then your sidebar is going to do the scaling that you want it to do. And of course, he was right. And I didn't run into this problem until I brought in a component that had massive like widths of its own being given by JavaScript. And so I needed the parent to actually have a width, even though Flex was taking care of the widths before this. So I thought that was brilliant. And now all of this ridiculous math gets to just go away. Like literally one line on the sidebar. And I was like, that man's a genius. So that's our opener today. I don't know if any of you enjoyed that, but if you're doing anything fun with Flex, think about using widths.
Loved it. I never use words
yeah.
because I'm like, Flex will handle it. We're 100% everywhere. Yeah, just body
Well,
with
usually
100% and
it's
fine.
it's usually fine until, your child is like your child element is like 4,000 width and you're like, "Oh no." Okay. Angular nation, not the yeah, there we go. Okay. So I'm going to be using this Codepen to talk about a couple of, and I actually can't see you, so I'm going to move you all off to this monitor so your faces are in my heart. Okay, beautiful. I know, right? You're like, what are you doing? Yes, okay, that's better. So I'm actually, yes, we're not working on that. Going to be using this Codepen. Feel free to follow along, but also I will send you a link to like the end pin at the end. And so inclusive styles, I want to go ahead and define what that even means. For those, has anyone in the group read Inclusive Components by Hayden Pickering? I think is how you say his last name. This is the book for you if anything that I touch on today is like super compelling and you're like, I really want to know more. Definitely worth a read. And the cool thing about this book is that it goes into actual like code examples for each like I guess inclusive thing or accessible thing that you can bring into your application. So I really, really love it. And I'm going to show off this. Go back over here. Oh, I guess I could, instead of you having to like type that in and, URL with your life, I guess I could share that. Do we have a chat? We have a chat.
Yeah,
It's
we have
early
a
week.
chat.
Chatting with people and doing chat. What does the button look like? Does anybody know? Oh, I see it.
It's, yeah, okay.
You're like, you really should know what a chat icon looks like.
Yeah.
You're right. So I do have a slide deck that originally went along with this, but it's a shorter talk and it's more intimate, so I'm not bringing up Keynote, but I did want to show you this one slide because it kind of kicks things off of, I believe that 90% of accessible code means using semantic markup, and then the rest, like the 10% that's left over, is things that you can go ahead and do to augment that already semantic markup. So we're going to be building out a little to-do app. It's going to be beautiful, and you're all going to be like, I can't believe we made an input look that good. No, I'm kidding. It's going to be pretty average to-do app. But what you're going to learn along the way is hopefully a little bit less fear when reaching for things like ARIA labels or testing out screen readers. And so it might get a little messy when we test the screen reader because I don't think I can share system audio, and someone let me know if I'm wrong, because that would make it go a little bit smoother if we could share system audio, but I don't know if Google Meet supports that. So otherwise I'll just,
It has that thing. So when you're presenting, it has that
oh,
presentation
option.
audio toggle. Yeah.
Let's see, your entire screen. So I'm gonna say my entire screen, and then so I don't see like a include audio or anything. You said there's a toggle?
So when you start sharing, I think it's just there on the top, or it might do you see anything like up? It's a full bar kind of a thing
The thing
on.
that said stop sharing or hide was the only bar that I know of. I don't have any
Okay,
other. So
so
maybe but I am on two screens, so I'm like wondering
Okay.
if it's over on the wrong screen. We will see if you can hear it when I pull up the screen reader. Otherwise, I'll just hold this near the
That.
speaker
Yeah.
on my laptop. So it'll be
Yeah.
little bit of a weirdness there, but we can get past it. Okay. So here we have a very average input with a placeholder of new item. And we have a button here with a little plus. And then I went ahead and gave like body input and button a font size of 40 because your girl is a little hard of seeing. And so anytime I can make fonts massive, I do. But something that the book talks about a little bit and that I wanted to share because I hadn't really thought of it since college, honestly, was empty state. And I really, really loved what it had to say about empty state. So it should be something that you're conscious of in your applications. A lot around forms, right? Like, what does this form look like in the empty state? Is it guiding users to the thought of, there's something more to do here, right? It can be as simple as our placeholder, new item, not great. It could be a little bit more specific, even an actual example type thing. Um, or our button. Our button could be specific, right? Of an add an item, right? Now, this starts getting into though this conundrum, and I love this conundrum of, but I don't want it to look like that, right? But and so what we can do, and this will be our first one, to give our empty state a little bit more semantics, a little bit more meaning, is to use an ARIA label here. And what would happen if we used our screen reader? We're going to pull it up in a minute, but I'm just going to tell you what would happen is that it would just announce like the actual plus symbol as you would expect whenever you click on that button. And now if we have like add new item here, it's going to go ahead and announce that label instead, which is great. It's brilliant. It's pretty basic. But there is still more that you can do here. So ensure that your buttons are descriptive. Ensure that your empty state is pointing people more towards there's more to do here, right? Add in handy, helpful placeholders. Wrap it in a form. Okay, there's so many times. I'm guilty of it. I used to be like, no, it's one input. It's one button. I don't need that form element. And I don't know what it was, like why I was so anti-extra like DOM elements. I was like, I can't do it. But it actually is really, really helpful to some assistive technologies to have that form wrapper. And it doesn't really hurt us that much, right? It just makes us write an extra line. And for some of us, just write the word form and then press tab. So wrap it in a form, even if you don't have an action for that form, right? Like even if you're grabbing like the event off the button. I'm just gonna plop plop, and there we go. And I think there's a couple articles that will like walk through exactly what assistive technologies will do with that form element. But I know that in the general usage, like an overview of all assistive technologies, whether it's for OS system like screen readers, or whether it's for like browser screen readers, or whether it's for other, right? Like that in general, it's just easier for them to have that form. Don't skimp on the labels is our next empty state piece of advice. So again, someone comes to us, this is the gorgeous comp that we're given. They say it needs to look exactly like this. And there's no label, right, in the design comp, but you're like, but wait, it really, really should have a label. And so label, go ahead and if you're unfamiliar with it, make sure it has a matching 4 to the ID on the input. So we're going to say this guy is for our to-do item. So I'll say do item, and I already had the gorgeous ID ready there for you. Then it matches. And let's see, add something new to your to-do list. Now, I would love to hear if anyone has thoughts. I've asked the world time and time again, is it one word or is it two? And no one will tell me. I
It
don't know.
has to be one. Like I
It has
want it
to
to
be
be
one?
one. It has to be
Okay,
one, like
so
to
I'm
do
right there with you.
like that.
I think it's two.
I'm right there
Otherwise,
with
it's
you. You
to
see, I have
do.
it.
Yeah, like
I have it on like the 4, and on this there's no, it's not dash separated.
yeah.
But I think this is a really good time to go ahead and introduce our screen readers for the day. Our screen readers will be because they announced this as
To
like
do.
closer to Todo, like and like if you just do this, then they say to do. And so that for me was like, well, I'm gonna have to put a space between it because it's not Todo.
It's a Spanish.
I think it
It's a
depends on the
Spanish reader.
context. I think it depends on the context. So
Oh,
let's say that you are saying these are my to dos, and these
mm-hmm.
are the things I need to do. So it's two different things.
You mean the story from the
Oh,
current
so
week?
like the collective noun of items is one
Exactly.
word.
Exactly.
I see. I see. Let's go ahead and pull up Chrome Vox is going to be our Chrome. I always struggle. I don't know why to get to my extensions, and I don't know, like, oh, did I do the, I did it wrong. Hang on. Extensions, Chrome, there, no. So it's this one, and then instead of settings, it's extensions. I know. You're like, that is the most jank way of getting to your extensions. I'm sure there's
Whatever
a
works
button
for
somewhere
you.
in the UI.
Yeah.
You're like, there's a button that will guide you there, right? I know. I always forget, and I just try to type in the URL, and it's always painful with the slashes because I'm like, dyslexic. What direction are we going in here? Okay. So these are extensions that I use often. Down here at the bottom, there is this screen reader guy. And that one is Chrome Vox. And I need to figure out where my audio, I think, oh, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna put my audio, so don't be alarmed. If you talk, you will come through here and then go back through my mic. So it might be a little bit of a loopy loop. But I'm gonna put you through my internal speakers. And then I'm going to turn on Chrome Vox, turn this volume to a medium. Okay. He should be
Chrome Vox spoken feedback is ready.
Okay. Can you hear him? Awesome.
Yes.
Okay. So my web browser screen reader is a guy and my OS is a girl. So it kind of helps me keep them like, which one am I using? I like to test different ones, and I really encourage you all today, if you work, whatever app you're working on, whatever, maybe you're a desktop app builder. I don't know, maybe not web apps, whatever you're working on, I highly suggest you just pull up a screen reader and just click one thing and see what it does. Like, it's very eye-opening if you've never done it before. All right, let's head back over to
Angular Nation tab.
and
Text area.
I'm going to comment out our label just to get a vibe for how this flow fills without it.
To do item, quote, greater than, add something new to your to-do list, less than / label, greater than.
Yeah, he's reading it. Oh my goodness, I understand. Here we go.
To your to-do list, less than / label, greater than. Not found.
Hang on. Bear with me. We're going to get there.
Not found.
All right, hang on. I'm going to go ahead and cancel this.
Button.
I love you all, and I graciously thank you for sticking with me, because Chrome Vox, come here, Chrome, can be a little bit of
Not very accessible, huh?
well, it's very first of all, we're in Codepen, so it's trying to read what's happening over here. So that was my first mistake. I need to delete this label and show you what it's like. But essentially, and I also need to cancel the someone help me out here, the event that's firing on the form, because it's trying to go somewhere. I don't want it to go anywhere. So here we go. I have some pre-written I don't want any giggles. I mean, you can giggle at me, but some pre-written jQuery that I'm just going to plop in here real quick. This pens your work. Yes, go to that. Awesome. Beautiful. Okay, here we go. And you're like, why would you do jQuery? Why would you do such a thing? Well, I thought it was pretty simple. If for those of you who don't know, on Codepen, you can go ahead and add in things like scripts like jQuery, as well as like SCSS for SAS and things like that. Okay, so now when I click this button, nothing happens. Awesome. Okay, because we need to hear what our screen reader is saying. It's very vital here. But to give you a rundown of what we should hear, we've added a placeholder and that it says EG buy milk. So when I click in here, it should announce the placeholder. And then with our button, when that is clicked, because we have an ARIA label, we should hear that label being announced as well. And so boom, boom, boom. Let's go back to here. Let's do this. Putting you.
Chromevox spoken feedback is read. Angular Nation tab. E.g. buy milk. Edit text. Add new item. Button.
It's a little creepy when it says button. Don't be alarmed. It has different tones for when it is announcing like elements on the page versus when it's reading something. So like I might have actually had the word button here and it's going to say that word button in a different like connotation than it's going to say the element.
Add new item button. Button.
So that is how they know if it's something that's written versus announcing an element. But cool thing here, we've essentially with ARIA label gotten away with having our gorgeous plus that was like a demand of the designs, right? They had to have that plus. However, we really need a label. Like there's no, I'm going to toggle him off for one moment. And so if I go ahead and I think I can just undo, get my label back. And here, whenever we click in here, our label should be announced, which is great, right? It's going to be a little bit more descriptive for what's happening, but we don't want it to be seen. And this is where you all, hopefully, this helps you. But what is recommended is this visually hidden class. Because if we hid it in like, sounds like we found Batman. Whoa. Yes. If we hide it in the normal way, right? If we go over here and I'm all like, hey, label, what up? Explain on. Our screen reader's not going to read it because it doesn't exist. It's not there, right? So our problem, our conundrum is that we need it to be there, just not visually there. And that's where you Google or you just go to this link, visually hidden class. And that is, oh, I already put it in the chat. Cool. That is the recommended way. So if we scroll all the way down, I will not, I refuse to memorize this. I copy paste it every time I need it, but I have it in global styles on many projects now. And I use it where I need to add a bit of meaning to what's going on. Essentially it's like, hey, I need my screen reader or my assistive technology to know about this, but I don't want it to be seen. And so we're going to grab that class. We're going to bring it over here and boop, boop. We don't need your JavaScript. Thank you. You've done your duty. Oh, I guess I could show what we're doing. It's not very exciting. Like I said, it is jQuery. So if you need to scream and run away, it's okay. I'm here with you. Like, I don't know why. It always scares people when I whip out the jQuery. So I'm just grabbing this little form bud here and on submit. And not on click of our button, but on form submit, because the click event on the button, as you might have guessed, doesn't catch the enter key. I did not guess it. I had to find out the hard way. So on our form event, when it submits, we're going to go ahead, prevent that default, which was giving us the 404. And then the rest of this is not useful just yet because I don't have all of the elements that we need. But essentially, it's going to go ahead and add lists to an empty UL, which is the next step on our empty state. And I'm super excited to get to. I'm going to collapse this now, but I'm going to plop this in the chat. So you should be able to refresh as we go along and build out if you want to check out the goods. Is anyone lost and or bored? Those are two ends of the spectrum.
Absolutely not.
Okay. No. Is it no? I'm getting X's. I think the X's mean I'm not bored, but I don't I'm not gonna put a positive spin. I had a really rough go yesterday with some haters on the internet. I say rough go. They didn't actually say any cuss words at me, so I should be thankful, right? But there were some haters. I did a webinar and I was essentially called an annoying parrot. So I didn't know how to take that because I've never been called an animal of any kind before. I wanted to tell them that Iago from Aladdin is my spirit animal, but my boss said it's better not to interact with the trolls. I don't know. I still haven't learned that lesson. I like to throw back at the trolls, but you all are very kind and very sweet and not trolls at all.
I thought your voice is so soothing. It made
Oh
my
my
baby sleep.
Quincy, you're so sweet. I'm gonna cry. That totally erases the sting of the parrot comment.
If this is the morning you, like, bring on the evening you, Elijah, because
Oh,
you're so excited.
Bonnie,
It's very encouraging.
Bonnie, is evening me terrifying? Because this is, you have to admit, this is calm, Alyssa. I think this is very like half speed, Alyssa. I don't know why. God did not bless me with morning skills. We're gonna go
That's
ahead.
absolutely fine. Don't need to have all those skills all the time.
I honestly, I like it. It's a very, very calm time for me. Visually hidden word. We did it. We did it. Okay. So we used our visually hidden class from that A11Y. I never know. I always pronounce like the individual characters, but if someone here knows, like if we should say Allie, I don't know. I
I
just end
think
up,
I've heard it. I heard people say Ali. I
you
think.
see, you think Allie's fine to say? Because
Yeah, yeah,
I'm like, I don't want people to be
yeah.
like,
Because
reading that
I mean,
acronym.
I-18N is fine, but how do you say A11Y? It sounds
I
funny.
know. Yeah.
11, like what? No.
Do you guys actually know why they're named that? Like, it was the like most dumbest, brilliant, mind-blowing like moment for me
Thing.
when
Yeah.
someone told me like that there's like 11 characters, I guess, between
In
like
between A and
for
Y. Yeah.
accessibility, and then the same
Mm.
for it's like international for 18.
It's internationalization.
Internationalization. Thank you. I'm like, that seems too short. So we have given our label here this visually hidden. So we no longer see it, but the ultimate test, do we hear it? We can use Chromevox, but I really want to show off system preferences. If you're on a Mac, you can go into accessibility for your system preferences and then on over to Voiceover. If it's your first time ever enabling this, it will walk you through some training. I used to always only exclusively use Chromevox when I was testing things just because it was easier. This is great because it works for everything on your desktop, not just web apps. But also, it's really interesting sometimes to see like the differences between what screen readers will do and what they'll announce and how they'll say things. So let's go ahead and give this one a test. And we're going to, what we're hoping to hear is that our label that we've hidden visually is still announced, even though it's not, we can't see it. So let's check it out.
Voiceover on system preferences, accessibility window, accessibility features table. Chrome, Angular Nation, Google Chrome, Alyssa window, edit text, blank, has your current Codepen e.g. by milk menu pop-up, edit text, e.g. by milk. You are currently on a text field inside of a frame. To enter text in this field, type to add new item button, e.g. by milk menu pop-up, edit text, e.g. by milk. You are currently
Yeah, she's not announcing it.
inside of a frame.
It's so funny. Let me try tabbing into it and seeing if like making that active will work, because Chromevox totally announces it. I love this. I love whenever you test something live and you're like, haha, it's not announcing it. Okay, let's do it.
Banner with suggestion selected. New 3 unread banner. You can user and open HTML.
Oh, I think I know how to do this. 1 second. Let me go ahead and. So that's the cool thing about using your browsers. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Your browser's VoiceOver is that it has the text that's printing below with what it's announcing. And also that whenever you exit out of that little pop-up, it disables the VoiceOver. And so you don't have to like go and hunt down that window to disable it, which is fun. Like whenever you're testing things. Sometimes testing things in Codepen is rough because there is like we're essentially in a web page that's within a web page. And so there's a lot of other elements that take precedence over what we're building here. So I think there's a way to break it out. It's like let's see, preview mode.
I think that you can export it. export it into a regular HTML.
Let's see. I see this open live view. Let me see if that it gets us a little bit closer. I mean, we still have this header, but let's see if it's I'm going to turn her on, but I know it can be sometimes it can be blasting. So I'm going to leave my mic over here, but we can read what's happening and see if I can get it.
Voice banner now and with suggest audio output audio output.
Oh, she's going to announce that. Just trying to fix the volume for you. 1 second, loves. So that's another hard thing that when you start using assistive technology, it takes over even things like your keyboard. And so like you might try typing into something and depending on which one you're using, it won't actually let you input until you do either like a double tap, like or a double key into it, or sometimes there's different ways of like actually essentially like enabling. Yes, I'm in this input. I want to type now. So that can be frustrating too. So always, always have the escape button ready to go if you're testing something because, or at least don't blare it in your office so you're overwhelming people because she can go off sometimes just reading the craziest things and you're like, I just wanted you to read my button. Why are you doing this to me? Okay, I'm gonna turn the volume down a little bit just so we're not overwhelmed. Go back over to her, enable, click on this.
Banner. Visited link. Back to home. Now. Add new item. Button. Name.
Yeah, she's reading our she's reading our ARIA label on our button, but she's not reading this test Chrome box. That visually hidden label should be announced.
Could you move the mic closer?
Milk. Edit text.
Yeah. So I'm not sure what's going on. I don't know if I attached it wrong. Oh, he's still going. 1 second. Let's double check. Let's double check. Make sure that ooh, it's really big. Did I attach it wrong? Visually hidden. Did I spell it right? It's usually, and I don't know. Usually it announces it. And I don't know if there was a change or if to do item matches to do item. I'm seeing some chat. You've displayed none. Oh my gosh, you're right. I'm the dumbest person on earth. Thank you. God bless you. You're a beautiful person. Oh, I want to cry. You debugged it for me. I'm so sorry you had to listen to all of that gibbering without any real label reading. Oh, beautiful people. Okay, we're going to go back. I think I need to refresh to make sure that display none actually gets taken off. And you can see, I cannot believe I did that to myself. That's how foolish. Okay, let's try her first.
Voiceover on system preferences, accessibility window. Codepen, add something new to your to-do list. EG by Milk menu pop-up, edit text.
Yay! We got a label read. Let's do it with him real quick on Chromebox. I'm so excited. Thank you. God bless the person who found the display none.
Tab. Add something new to your to-do list within EG by Milk.
Awesome. Okay, so that was really, I guess we were really, really showing how, there's don't do display none to items. But also we have added a label. It's attached to the input. It was reading, both of them actually read the visually hidden label and the placeholder on the input and then the ARIA label. So we're getting there. We're at 8:40. So if anyone has anything, we can cut it out. And CSS, sorry, I'm screening the chat to make sure there's no questions. Shout out to me.
There was a hand raised earlier.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I think they put it down. Oh yeah, Tito has his hand raised.
Tito, tell me please.
Yeah. I was trying to know in the input property where you have the area label, add new items. Is it being translated into different languages or just what you add code in there? Like when you have it on different languages and yeah.
That's a really good question. I don't personally know it, and I would love to find out if anyone in the chat does know what happens. Like if you enable a different language, what happens with ARIA labels? I know, like, as far as, like, are we, like, talking about, like, localization if we change the, like, the base language, what happens to it? I personally don't know, but I love that, and I'm gonna look into it so that next time I can talk about it. Hang on, let me make a note. That's
I
a great
think
question.
with yeah, if you use like internally I18 then for
Yeah.
our localization basically, especially in Angular apps, then you just use that in area label and the screen reader will read it in whatever language you have set it to.
Oh, that's awesome. I
That is I'm like 90% sure of that, but not
Mm.
100%. So I think it's still worth looking into it, and it's a very interesting question.
No, it really is. Thank you for adding that, Tito. I'm totally gonna look that up so that, like, the next time I talk about this, I know and can even show it off. I don't know how to get the screen back here. This, you watch me as I flounder on Codepen. Maybe if I change the view again? No, that's whoa, that's not it. Or is it actually over here so I can, yes, it is. It was hidden. Okay. Um, but yeah, any other questions? Shout out. I'm like gonna move along and teach the next
I wonder
chunk.
if I'm pretty sure there isn't, but is there a way? I or actually I should say that I wish there was a way that it wouldn't say EG, it would say example,
Mm,
because it says EG by milk, and
right, right.
I wish we could. And for do instead of
I think
you could say like to do is actually supposed to be read out as to do, instead of to do or whatever.
to
I
like
think
override how it's reading
yeah,
things. I
yeah.
I think
Display
we might
versus
even
reading it.
for something
Yeah,
like that, we might even try like IE in our
yeah,
example because I think it's people say like IE, they don't like
yeah,
I don't think anyone
yeah,
says EG. So maybe
yeah,
we should like change it around to match that,
yeah.
but I don't even know if that's how you say IE. Do you just lowercase it?
Lowercase it.
Anybody?
Yeah.
Is it? Or is there even a decimal or is it just IE?
It is I dot e dot.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
Okay, gotcha. I was like, the capitals don't look right. So
yeah.
I think at this point, what I would do if I was trying to achieve that is to just change up what it's like actually visually representing
Mm,
so that
mm.
it's that it's okay. But that's a really great question too. I don't know if you can actually override. Let me writing that one down.
Voiceover.
Um, yeah. Let's see. So we have. I wanted to talk about live regions, which are really, really cool. Um, and then do we have anybody on Windows? Is there anyone who's like in particular, like I program for Windows exclusively, like people who are maybe even using just their browser, but on Windows? No? Okay. So there is a way to give, oh, yes, please. Nice. Okay. Let's go into that real quick and then we will hopefully have time for live region. So there is a way to give, let's see here, H1 and say, actually, be inside my form. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and create a section that wraps my entire to-do application. And that's because there might be things outside of the to-do application that exist on this dashboard page. And so I'm going to give my section an H1 and it will say something like organizing your day. And a really cool thing that you can do is you can attach your H1 to whatever wrapper it's inside, right? A section, a main, a div, whatever and it doesn't even have to be an H1. But essentially, you can give that section a label semantically. And so we can say, I love aria labeled by, and I try to use it and actually, I found that like trying to implement ARIA labeled by, like as I build out components, has made me more conscious of hierarchy and how I'm like nesting things and do these things have semantic wrappers and like it makes me think about those things. And so I love ARIA labeled by, but we'll say it's going to be labeled by the to do section header and it just has to have that matching ID. I'm not going to go into our screen readers because they won't announce it, but I think it's the NVDA Windows assistive technology. Whenever you enter this section, it will actually read out whatever the ARIA labeled by matches. And so it will, like, if you tab into this to do section, it's going to read organizing your day. And that's another example of like how they're different. But they are now associated together, whether or not the assistive technology decides to read it out. So I really do like to throw that in as I go. And it has helped me often be like, oh, wow, my hierarchy here is all Wangdoodle. I need to fix it. So, so that is for Windows and VDA. Let's go into live regions. I'm going to jump down there. Okay. So our form is, it doesn't have any place. I need to pull your faces up. There we go. It doesn't have any place to populate. So we're going to create an empty UL. And that led me to empty states as well. So before, I know I keep promising live regions, but I really, really wanted to talk about the empty state with the UL. So boop, 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 scrolling, finding. Yes. Boop, boo. Sorry, I was trying to fast forward for you all. And essentially, what we want to do is I'm going to grab my UL with my empty state. There we go. Beautiful. Copy, paste. Because I usually just go through this a little bit slower and have time to type it all out. But we're going to get all the same things. So we have a little div here with 2 paragraphs. It really could just be 1 paragraph. I got going. I was excited. But essentially, one last thought on empty states is, our UL is empty. We have no to-do items. And so a way of pushing someone to mentally think, I need to add to-do items, right? There's something here that needs to be completed. And again, this is a very simplified example. Some forms are very complex, and pushing users towards, hey, there's something to do here. There's something to fill out. You missed this, can be really, really valuable in complicated examples. So here we have all tasks complete, and add more if this isn't the case, right? And this is inside a class called empty state. And so what we're going to do is I like to leave visually hidden at the very bottom of my file, because I didn't write that code. I'm just using it. I don't know why. I go from top to bottom when I'm like styling. And so I will style the header first, and then I'll go and style the form, and then I'll style the UL, right? And then the styles will be in order. But if it's something that I have added on from someone else, I usually add it at the bottom. It's just like how I've always done things. Okay. So let's go ahead and do empty state. Empty state. And our default will be to hide our empty state. And then here's where it gets fun. There is actually an empty selector. And so you can say, when my UL is empty, I want my sibling, who is empty state, to go ahead and display. Display block. Block, block, block. Okay, so you saw it hide, and then you saw me by default, and then you saw, because the UL is empty, some fun thoughts here with CSS3. This empty selector, if you even have yucky, a character. You see what I just did there? If you have, I'm going to just like really make that large. This character is actually causing the empty state to be false. Same thing if you have a comment. I used to have this to do items here comment inside the UL. And that actually made the empty state be false. So as of CSS4, that won't be true anymore, and it won't be a concern. But if you are trying to utilize this cool empty state feature to make things appear or hide, be conscious of your comments and your white space, because it does matter for some reason. It took me a while to debug that one. I was like, I swear my UL's empty. What's going on here? And it was there's a lot of anger. So, and then my husband was like, "Hey, did you know about the CSS spec?" And I was like, "No, who knows about that?" And it was this whole discussion. So, okay, we talked about that. Now I think we have time for live regions. I'm so excited. I don't know why this one makes me happy. Boop, 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 boop. Scroll down. Awesome. So when we add, I think because of our handy dandy jQuery, when we add items, they are prepended to the top of the list. I'm so excited to show live regions. It's like my favorite thing of all time. Okay, so when I'm going to pull up one of them, does anybody have a favorite? Who do you want to hear more, Chromevox or I don't know her name, Voiceover? We'll call her Voiceover. Someone vote, and we're going to go run through adding a to-do item with it, and then we're going to teach live regions and show that, and then we should be done. No one has thoughts. No one has preferences between Chromevox and or Voiceover. Okay, awesome. Voiceover.
Chrome. I actually made a poll. If people want to would there.
You made a poll? Shut up. Wait, there's a poll? How did you make a poll that quickly? Mad genius.
Just so that you get more people.
Is the poll coming through?
Does
everyone see it?
I just see 3 votes for Voiceover and 0 for Chromewalk right now.
Okay.
Voiceover 1 vote for Chromebot. I think people just like.
Don't tell me we're tied.
Go to activities and you will see it there.
Activities. Thank you. God bless you. And your brilliance. Is that activities?
It's right on chat. Nice. Yeah. So still more votes for Voiceover.
Okay. I'm going to vote Voiceover just so I can see the answers. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, there are more. There are more votes for Voiceover. Excellent. Okay. Go enable her. I forgot. I need to put you through this audio.
Application, 30s Control Chrome, Angular Nation, Google Chrome, Codepen, Angular Nation, Frame, Main. You are currently on a frame. To enter the web area, press Cap, add something new to your to-do list that is by Milk. Menu pop-up, edit text. You are currently on a text field K. Milk. You are current buy some more milk. Buy. New item button. You are currently
okay. So what had happened? Our label was announced. Our placeholder was announced. If I pressed enter for buy some more milk, the button was not announced. If I pressed the button was announced. However, something really fun, and I don't know, it depends on assistive technology. Sometimes it will read out the item that is like now on the page. Sometimes it won't. I think it announced buy some more milk, but I don't think it announced buy cheese. And I think that was because of how we submitted the form. So if we go to, I'm going to bring back this. If we go to our markup here and we give our UL, we are essentially making our UL what is called a live region. And I'm going to type that here so you can see live region demo. And so we will give it a status of role and a aria live of polite. So essentially, to sum up, we have 4 minutes till the top of the hour. What this should do is when something changes in this now live region, it should be announced with the screen reader, right? Regardless of how our form is submitted. So let's go test it out. Refresh this page. And you'll see that the voiceover was announcing like main and things like that, and like which main and frame, which are the structural things that Codepen has added to our page. So I probably should have done what was suggested to export the HTML, but all right, so here's this.
Voiceover on system, Chrome, Angular Nation, Codepen, Angular Nation. Frame, add something new to your cheese. New item, button, bullet, buy cheese. Add something new to your K. Milk, add new item, button, buy milk.
So sometimes it announced it twice because it was like grabbing it before, like when I was submitting it, and it was grabbing that buy milk. Essentially, it was reading out what I had typed. And then on submit, it would go ahead and announce that live region. And I think I might have an extra bullet point in there or something. I'm not sure why I announced that. I'd have to dig into it. But I love live regions. I think they're really cool if utilized properly. And also, it depends on what screen reader you're using, depending on what it'll sound like. But yeah, so I hope that I touched on something new. Sometimes I fear that everything I'm covering, everybody knows already. So hopefully you learned something new today. Yeah.
I definitely did. I am sure, speaking on behalf of a lot of people who don't pay that much attention to accessibility, or not because they don't want to, just that it's not an expectation, it's not a consideration, it's an afterthought. Most of the times it's an afterthought than doing it as you go. And so it was fun to like do something and see it simultaneously. We have 2 minutes left, but I also just wanted to see if someone wants to ask a question real quick. Otherwise, I'm sure they can reach out to Alyssa and be nice. Don't be a troll, which I know we are. I don't even have to see that, but oh yeah, thank you for sharing the link for that.
Yes. And usually I have time to beautify it a little bit more. So I'm going to go ahead and throw in some of the finished CSS. So when you refresh it, it should look a little bit, it'll have all the same CSS that we talked about with addition of a couple things we didn't get to talk about, like placeholders and things like that. So check out the CSS if you're interested. I am formatting it right now so that it has sass. But yes, thank you all for having me. Are there any questions? Save and close. My Twitter handle is my name. So it's, that's how people communicate with me. My DM's open. So if you have anything that comes to you later and want to chat, I'm here. Thank you. Oh, awesome. Yeah. Thank you guys. They're telling you like in the chat what they've learned. Thank you, Orson. Means a lot. Yay.
I see Tom had a question. Tom, do you want to come off mic real quick?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, just quickly wondering what's the opposite of polite, or how does it? What are the options?
Oh, yeah. That so I have not played around, but yeah. I haven't played around with it, but I do think it's like an aggressive meter on like and how it's announcing that live region. But yes, Google live region and it will show you the I'm actually going to do it myself right now. It will show you there's 3, I think. Role alert, role polite, role assertive, and off is I guess so 4. But I haven't played around with them. I've only used polite because that fit the scenario of the to-do app where I wanted it to announce. But I need to throw in assertive and see how scary it is. I don't know.
All right. So we have this tradition of coming off mic and camera and thanking our guest speaker. Where everyone can do that real quick and tell how awesome Alyssa is to her before we let her go. I would really appreciate that. All right. Okay, guys. 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Gracias.
Love you.
I learned a lot today. Thanks, Amina. Thanks.
Yeah, this is so fun.
Yeah.
Yay.
And hope we see you again soon sometime.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Thanks. Bye bye.